So first thing is, yeah, I haven't been recording videos for that long. And I guess I forget that it's not necessarily a linear thing that, you might release a video months ago, but somebody's just going to see it for the first time whenever they whenever they see it, whether they're searching for it or it's recommended to them. So I'm like, oh yeah, some of these comments are for older stuff. But one thing that I know I mentioned in one of the earlier videos about the Zenfone, was the issues that I was having when it comes to connecting to T-Mobile's network. So I put my T-Mobile SIM card in. It looked like everything was fine, but then when I left the house and I realized, oh yeah, I've been connected to Wi-Fi for most of the time. I'm over here at the grocery store and I'm able to briefly see either 4G or 5G pop up in the little display thing up there in the top left corner, but then it just goes away. And then of course I'm not able to browse the web. I don't remember if I attempted to make any phone calls, but I just knew that, all right, regardless of phone calls or not, I'm looking at the screen and it shouldn't be doing that. So, I came home, did whatever research. And then, of course, because as I will always say this, these things are just computers. And when companies try to pretend that they aren't, then that's when things become problematic. Also, and I, learned this, well, not learned it, but was able to do this with the Zenfone because, yes, the phone, as of me making that video, and even I think making this video, is not officially released in the US. So the carriers aren't either obligated or inclined to offer whatever type of support that they normally would in terms of over the air updates. So I know one of the things that I was mentioning is that when I put my SIM card in my Sony Xperia, I'd get the little prompt saying, from the phone saying, we recognize that your phone doesn't have the correct settings and we'll push the settings. And as I was going through, like you would put the SIM card in, get the prompt, and then you get a notification. So you tap the notification, then it would say, okay, now this is configured. You get another notification. Okay, this is configured, and so forth and so forth. So you were getting feedback so that from the phone, so that you knew it was now going to work well with T-Mobile's network. And obviously with the Zenfone, I put my SIM card in there and I got that initial text message saying, oh, we noticed that your phone doesn't have the correct settings, but nothing further would happen. So then I said, okay, something's wrong. So yeah, I came home, did the research or whatever, went to Asus's website, and all I did was Google Zenfone 9 firmware, and that took me directly to the website from Asus for the Zenfone. And you have the option to download firmware for the phone. And I looked at some of the little notes for that particular file. It was about 3 gigabytes, I think, and I think the last mention in the file, in terms of the notes, was something specifically about T-Mobile. So I forget what it says, and maybe hopefully I'll be able to put like a screenshot up on the screen saying what it was. But after I downloaded that, I was not sure how to actually install the firmware, because if you have any experience flashing ROMs or trying to flash anything to an Android device, sometimes, my experience really is just using ADB, so Android Debug Bridge or whatever it is, and running commands from the computer, maybe having to put the phone in recovery after you've turned on USB debugging. Sometimes I've even had to unlock the bootloader. So just a bunch of low-level stuff, which once you do it a few times, isn't that difficult to do. It's just, oh yeah, I gotta do that. I gotta do that. But I was doing all of those things with the Zenfone, and every time that I tried to use, I think it was either fast boot or you would type ADB devices, it would recognize the phone, but it would say that it was unauthorized. So of course I'm trying to figure out, like, how do I get past that, so forth and so forth. And yeah, didn't find a solution to that problem. So I continued digging around, and somewhere else on Asus's site, which I don't know why it wasn't specifically where the file download was, but maybe it was, and I just didn't click the right thing. But all you have to do is you download the file to your computer, and then you take that file and you drag it, or connect your phone to the computer, and then you drag and drop that file that you downloaded to the root directory of the phone. And once you do that, the phone recognizes, oh, hey, look, there's a firmware update file on the phone. Do you want to, install it, restart the phone, whatever the steps were? And I click yes. The phone went through its processes. It updated whatever security patch level that it needed to be. I think it was on June and it came up to August. And yeah, from that point forward, you know, I've had no issues with the phone. So yeah, I agree with everything that these users are saying. That yeah, it's the non-US version, so of course you had to put a little work in, and then of course since it's not the US version, the carriers aren't, you know, inclined to do anything to really support the device. But it was very, very nice to see that T-Mobile specifically said, oh well, there was a verbiage in there specifically about T-Mobile, letting me know that okay, now this phone is most likely going to work on T-Mobile's network. So no issues anymore. I know I was having those connectivity issues before, and I think towards the end of that video, I think I mentioned that I found software to download. But yeah, I have downloaded it, installed it, and yeah, everything's working perfectly fine.